Hello everybody, welcome to the Pulse with Paulina Reyes. I'm here with
Will Esposito. I'm a professor in the English department. I've been here for about 10 years now, and I've also been a member of the union for 10 years.
and my question for you is, what brought you out here to strike today?
Well, are you familiar with the Boeing Corporation?
No.
No, okay, yeah. So Boeing is the largest manufacturer of airplanes, I believe, in the United States and maybe in the world.
They make airplanes.
They make airplanes,
right?
yeah. Typically the airplanes you fly on, right, to go from here to there, that's a Boeing craft, right? Especially in the United States. Boeing, many of their workers were unionized and they were located in Seattle. In order to save money, Boeing decided to go around those unionized workers. It didn't want to pay them. So it built another plant in South Carolina where labor laws were weaker and unions weren't around.
Interesting.
Yeah. So what happened was that they built a new plane called the Boeing 737 MAX, and within a few months of its release, it crashed twice. And it was because it was poorly designed and, as it turned out, poorly put together. When investigators came in from the FAA and looked at other Boeing aircraft, they found that many of these planes, not just the MAX, but other planes like the Dreamliner, were poorly put together. They had a bit screwed on backwards. There were problems, major structural problems. It was feared that many of these planes too would also crash. And this is because they were not made by high-paid union members. They were made by these low-paid staff in South Carolina, right? Now, this has hurt many people. I mean, it's hurt Boeing, the corporation, a lot because their stock value has dropped. But it really, really hurts people like you and me and everyone out there simply because we're afraid to get on their planes. Who wants to get on a plane that may crash, right?
It's fatal.
It's fatal.
Anyone can die,
Yes, anyone can die.
No one wins in this situation.
No one wins in this situation. And so now Boeing has to spend lots of money, right, to take its planes apart and put them back together. And then the people it sells planes to, like Southwest or United, they're hurting because they've ordered planes 4 or 5 years ago. They still haven't gotten them delivered because they've been held up because of all of these problems. Okay, so this teaches us a lesson, right? You know, that high-paid, happy workers, they're profitable for the people that business, interacts with, and they're profitable also for ultimately the customers of that, which are you and me, people who just want to go away for a weekend or fly on a trip somewhere. Okay, so that brings us to this college, right? When you think about the college, you have 3 main levels, just like Boeing, right? You have an administrative level. Their job is to advertise the college, to raise funds for the college, right? To plot out a general course for the college to follow. You have classified staff, right? These are the people that sweep our floors, right? Clean our bath. Yes, classified staff. People that, process your financial aid, right? Or advise you. Exactly, right?
Very important.
Very important.
Students need advice. We need to know where to go. Yeah.
And then finally, you have faculty, professors that are there to teach you what you need to know in order to go on to be successful in your lives, whether that means going on to a 4-year degree at another college, right, or ultimately to grad school, or even just leaving from here and having the expertise to do something right directly out of CCP.
All valuable assets, I can imagine, for the community college that's being left behind.
Right. And you know what happens when, from the Boeing example, when you don't pay these people well, right? And when you tell them, we don't really care about you and we want to go around you just because we want to save money, right? You get an inferior product. Boeing planes now are scary. They're scary, right? Here at the college, right, about 5 years ago, we were in a similar situation where we had a contract expire, and it took us 3 years to renegotiate that contract. For 3 years, we worked without a contract, without a raise. Classified staff, some of the staff at that time had been here for a dozen years. They were making less than $30,000 a year, right? That's something like $15 an hour. Many of them went on to take better jobs, like just working at like an Amazon warehouse, because it paid more.
Can you believe that? An Amazon warehouse job pays more than an educator at CCP.
Not an educator, classified staff.
A classified staff. My mistake.
Right, okay. So they left, and they left in droves. I think 30% of them left within the next few years, leaving only 70% of classified staff to do the work of 100% without any raises.
What year was this again?
So the contract expired, I believe, in 2016, and we were finally able to renegotiate a new contract in 2019, right, the year before the pandemic hit.
Okay.
Right. So that contract expired last August. So since then, we've been working without a contract. We've been bargaining now for 14 months with the administration, looking for better pay for our classified staff and looking for better pay for faculty. Faculty, too, also leave, right? They take jobs, right, elsewhere, or they retire. When faculty retire, we have to hire new people. I served this year on the hiring committee for the English department, right? We were seeking to hire 5 people to fill, jobs, that had faculty and had retired and no one had to replace them. We had problems attracting good, candidates. We did get some, right? But it would have been much easier if we had better pay, better schedules, right? Better workloads, better support, right? So these matter when you want to hire good faculty. You have to pay them well. This didn't happen, and then other faculty have since moved on. The faculty sacrificed in the last contract, right, a large part of our demands to make sure that classified staff had their demands met. And the reason why was because they make less money than we thought we needed to raise them up. Now, this time around, we want to continue to raise them, but we also want to raise up the faculty as well. We have really not had a good raise in 10 years. And more to the point, inflation in Philadelphia has gone up quite a bit.
It has.
Right? Yes.
Yeah, especially with this new presidency.
Yes, and it's going to make it worse. Yeah, but even since 2021, in the last 3 years, right, inflation has gone up. I believe in Philadelphia, something on the order of 21%, right? Which means that a 21% increase, right, over the next 3 years in faculty pay would just keep us up with inflation. It wouldn't even be a raise.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what's insane to me. Teachers are not, our faculty are not asking for a lot. We're just asking to be seen and respected. And when our teachers aren't getting paid enough,
Yes.
we're not getting paid what we deserve.
Yeah.
It's like this school's a falling plane,
Yes.
crashing to the ground.
Yes, that's right. Yes, and that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think you look at what the college has. The college has been able to save about $80 million, right? And since the pandemic started, right? Largely because we've made concessions in the last contract, right? And so that they were able to collect a lot of money. We also, the union, went down to City Hall and we got an extra $5 million in secured funding, right, from City Hall, just for approved, just to sort of bring in, the support we need, right, to replace the people who have left, right, to keep this thing functioning well, right, so that students can continue to get a good education. Has that money been dispersed? No. We want it. It's disappeared into the coffers of CCP, and no one knows where it is.
No one knows where the $5 million are.
No one knows where the $5 million is, right? So, we're asking that, that $85 million be used well to improve the college. Now, we obviously don't want to bankrupt the school. I don't think that anyone here is asking, right, for a raise that makes it impossible for the school to pay it. But we have looked at the numbers and we feel pretty confident that the things we're asking for are not only necessary for us to continue to do our jobs well and necessary for people like you to get your educations, right, but also things that the college can afford. We have not seen, we've been negotiating now for 14 months, and we have not seen any movement, very little movement, if any at all, on the side of the administration. Now, you can only ask someone to do something so many times. And after 14 months of asking, right, there comes a time when you just have to say, okay, well, if you don't take me seriously, perhaps I'll have to do something else so that you will. And that's where we are today. This is not a strike. This is preparation for a strike. This is showing that people here care, right? This is showing the students and the administration, right, that we are here, right, because we think that we are in the right and we are ready to go out and do this. We would like to just settle this, at the table without having to strike. That would be the nicest and easiest thing, right? It wouldn't disrupt anything for you guys. It wouldn't disrupt anything for us or for the school. Everyone would be pleased. But we do need some kind of movement. We haven't gotten that. So eventually, we just sort of have to say, okay, now.
Out of curiosity, why do you think it's taken them this long to just negotiate and do what's right?
Well, I'm not sure. There are
It's something I've been wondering about as well.
there are, economic reasons perhaps why, right? There are also philosophical reasons why. I do know, for instance, that board of trustees, which is only, I believe it's 9 people for this college, they have been, rather stingy about this. Maybe, they think that we don't deserve it. We've often heard that from time to time, that, we don't work enough, that we don't work hard enough. I haven't had a day off this semester since it started. I teach from 9:40 in the morning until 7:30 at night on Mondays and Wednesdays. On Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, I was on the hiring committee. I also have all of my union duties, and then I have to grade papers when I go home, and with 5 classes, right?
Exactly.
I am grading about
insane.
120 papers a week. Yes.
120 papers a week.
Yes, that's a lot, right? The administration, I think, has offered to increase class sizes or give us more classes. That just means more papers to do. I don't know where I'm supposed to find the time, without any kind of reasonable raise or increase, right, that would justify me doing it, and also being able to do it, and also, to offset the cost of living in Philly, which is just crept up, over 4 years now. So that's my story.
Today, that's why we're here in
That's why we're
strike.
here, yes.
Please remind me of your name again.
My
this
name
entire
is
story.
Will Esposito.
Professor Esposito.
Yes, yeah. I'm a
Yeah.
professor for 10 years now. I've been here. I was hired about 10 years ago. In fact, on the same day, my first day here at the college was the same day as Dr. Generals, who is the president of the college
Really?
at this moment. Yes.
How interesting.
Yeah, in fact, the first class he came to was my class. He was taken around. I was teaching a summer class in West Philly. I started in the summer, and we got there and taught the class, and he was brought in with, his entourage to check out.
Do you think he's like involved in the halt of your guys' getting negotiated contracts?
Yes, of course, right? He is one of the people that we negotiate, with, but not directly. They've hired lawyers. They spend a lot of money hiring lawyers, because they feel that it will save the college money in the long run, right? Pay the lawyers more now, and you won't have to pay us later. I don't know if that's a successful strategy. I mean, I've spoken to some people, and I'm wondering, salary is going to continue to fall against the cost of living, that maybe it's time for me to go do something else. I've been reviewed very well as a teacher. My rate by professor is very high. I get lots of positive feedback from students. As you saw when we came in here, people that I've had in class potentially take classes with me again and know me pretty well. And I might pack it up and move. Which means,
exactly, because it means that that's where you're left to do at this point.
It's what you may be left.
And it's just insane because it's faculty like you yourself, and like Professor Esposito, as well as the people who clean this establishment, the people who make this place operate. They don't realize that's what it takes to make their business run.
Yeah, no, I don't think they do. Or they think maybe they can, get a cheaper solution. But all it does is build rancor, right? It builds anger. And when I first started working here, I really loved the college. I really did. I was excited about it. I loved the students, right? I found the students to be enthusiastic and hardworking. And I had taught at UMass Amherst, and I had taught at Temple University. And I loved the students here more than anybody, right? And I was really, really happy to be a part of this. And I really felt like for the first time in my life, I was actually making a difference. Then the first contract dispute came along, and by the time that was over, I felt embittered, not towards the students, but just about the place in general because of the people, work upstairs. And I wanted better, not just for myself, but for the other people I work with, my colleagues, who, collaborate with me. My colleagues that make sure that anything I'm doing, gets filed and whatever, all the classified staff as well as other faculty. I want them to do well. And, since I've been here, for 10 years, we've hired many new faculty. These people will never be able to afford to buy homes, right? They're barely hanging on, and a lot of them have so much student debt, that's a big problem. And to not reward these faculty with good contracts, I don't want to sell the future short, and I don't want the school to sell the future short. So I think that's why we're here today, right? Or at least one answer why, and I'm sure you'll get other answers as well, but they'll probably all fall, somewhere along those ideological lines. Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. We have to save this school for our future. This school is one of the primary community college in Philadelphia. A lot of people in the city come here. And the way that this administration and the higher ups, I guess, that's whoever's a part of administration, they don't treat this as the school of value that it deserves, especially with the amount of hold it has in the city.
Yeah, I think that's...
And that's another reason why we need to come together and strike and support our teachers in this strike.
Yeah. We have, at one point, up to 30,000 students.
Exactly.
30,000
students.
Yeah, that's a lot of people, So, anyway.
We need more. We need more.
Yeah, we need more. We need to hire more. That's one of our demands, and we need to pay the people we hire better, right?
Yeah.
And again, within reason. But 30,000 students, and we need the staff, and we need to pay them well, not unreasonably, right? But enough money at least, right, so that they can keep up with inflation.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
It is expensive.
Yeah. Not what I remember it being.
No, that's a can of worms that we also need to adjust to. But thank you, Professor.
Thank you.